Sometimes we look at others and think, they have everything. Why can't I be like them? But what we don't see is the hidden battle, the invisible struggles, and the silent wars fought in the dark. This is the story of a boy who learned that his greatest weakness could become his greatest strength. His name was Arman, a 21-year-old university student living in a crowded city. Every morning, Arman would wake up, open his phone, and scroll through social media. He saw people his age starting businesses, traveling the world, buying cars, and living the kind of life he only dreamed of. He would stare at their photos and whisper to himself, "Why am I so behind? Why can't I be successful like them?" This thought consumed him. It wasn't just envy, it was pain. A deep pain that made him feel worthless. At university, Arman wasn't the smartest. He wasn't the most confident either. Teachers barely remembered his name, classmates overlooked him, and even his friends sometimes laughed at his quiet nature. At night, when everyone else was asleep, he would sit by the window, watching the streetlights and thinking, maybe I don't have what it takes. Maybe success isn't for people like me. The worst part was the comparison. Every single day, Arman compared himself to others, and every single day he lost. He began to believe he was invisible. One rainy evening, while walking home, Arman stopped near a small bookstore. On the window, written in bold letters, he read. For some reason, those words hit him harder than anything he had ever read. He stood there, soaked in the rain, staring at those letters again and again. He realized something. Maybe his story wasn't moving slow. Maybe it was just beginning. From that night, Arman made a promise to himself. No more comparisons. No more wasting time looking at other people's lives. No more believing he was too small to matter. Instead, he would focus on his path. He started small. He wrote down 3 goals: wake up early and exercise, study 1 extra hour daily, work on a small project of his own, no matter how tiny. At first, it was hard. He was still tempted to check social media, still tempted to compare, but slowly, those small habits began to change him. Weeks turned into months. Arman was no longer the quiet boy who sat in the back of the class. He began answering questions. He started working on a mobile app with 2 friends. He wasn't perfect, but he was growing. One evening, while working late in the library, a classmate came up to him and said, "Arman, how do you stay so focused? I wish I had your discipline." For the first time, Arman smiled not because he had achieved something big, but because someone else saw value in him. The boy who once felt invisible was slowly becoming a source of inspiration. Arman's journey wasn't about sudden success. It wasn't about overnight fame. It was about realizing one simple truth. When you stop comparing yourself to others, you finally see who you really are. Every person's story moves at a different pace. Some reach success at 20, some at 30, some even at 60. But time doesn't define worth. What defines worth is progress. And Arman, he wasn't behind. He was exactly where he needed to be. So if you feel invisible, if you feel behind, remember this: you are not in a race against others. You are only in a race against yourself. Don't compare, focus, and one day, the world will see what you are capable of.